the new faces. So today we are going to discuss about 4.20, chapter 4, Shloka number 20. Before we proceed, I would like to give a little bit of summary, like what we are discussing, what is the name of this chapter, and till now what major points has been covered by Lord. So this chapter, if you see, chapter 1 was observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which the introduction was given from the both sides, like who all are fighting from each side, and what all weapons they have, what is their strength and weaknesses. So that was given in the chapter 1. And then chapter 2, it's about contents of the Gita summarized. So chapter 2 touches about all, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita in summary. So Lord touches, everything here, like Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga as well. And it touches about the, difference between the matter and spirit, which is called Sankhya Yoga. So Lord touches, little bit about all these things in chapter 2. And in chapter 2 only Krishna, Arjuna actually tried to say no, that no, I don't want to fight, and he has given different reasons not to fight. And then Lord started, all reasons, whatever Arjuna was giving. So Lord started giving, answers for that why these are wrong reasons. You should not say no to fight. And then, so in the same context, in chapter 3, Karma Yoga is the name of the chapter, and the Karma Yoga was discussed in chapter 3. And Lord tells about the different forms of Karma Yoga. And now in chapter 4, we are going to discuss, the name of the chapter is Transcendental Knowledge. So the transcendental knowledge, if you see, this is something which is not material. The name itself says, right, transcendental knowledge. So the knowledge which is from the different realm, the transcendent, it is transcendental. It is nowhere related to the material, knowledge what we gain, right? So you can understand how important this is. And in this, if you see, Lord started explaining in the text 1 that how this knowledge was given by him to Vivaswan. How many years back? 12 crore years back. So this was given to Vivaswan. And then in text 2, he tells us that this knowledge can be attained only by the disciplic succession. In text 3, so he tells about that how this ancient science of wisdom, the ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme, is today told by me to you because you are my devotee. So this is important. I touched this point because this is transcendental knowledge, and this transcendental knowledge is not open for all. So why it is given to Arjuna? Because Arjuna is a devotee of Lord. And Lord himself is saying that because you are my devotee, as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So this is a science. This is not a material science, but transcendental science. And then Arjuna asked question that, how it come possible, Lord, it's 12 crores back, like how you gave it to, because Vivaswan is very senior by birth to you and me, both. And then how I may understand that this is, in the beginning you instructed this to Lord, Son, science to Son. And then Lord started speaking. So in summary, in this particular chapter, Lord proclaims that the cause of his appearance while giving the transcendental knowledge, he is first time proclaiming that why he appears and what is the reason of his appearance in this chapter. So that is why it is transcendental knowledge. And also he tells about the eternal nature of his Leela. So where it is, have you gone through chapter 4, any one of you? महाभारत तो देखी होगी. महाभारत में सीरियल में एक श्लोका था, देयर वाज अ श्लोका, राइट? यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानो धर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. So what this says, this shloka says that whenever and wherever there is a decline in the religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So he has given reason, right, that why he comes. This is not known to the common public, right? Before, only Lord himself is telling. It is not just a mental speculation of somebody. Lord himself is telling that why he comes. So this is what first time he proclaimed during the discourse of Bhagavad Gita in the chapter 4, that why, what is the cause of his appearance. So this is one cause. And another cause is given in 4.8. So what is that? Next very, very famous shloka comes in Mahabharata only, one after another. So, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So these are the two reasons given in 4.7 and 4.8. And then in 4.9, very beautifully, Lord tells a very, very, secret, which is not known to the humans before, right? First time Lord, declares that, what is that? One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So what is that shloka? Anybody? Very, very dear shloka to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, this shloka, 4.9. Can anybody read now? I displayed it on the screen. It says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tattva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So this particular shloka reveals the appearance, of Lord. How the appearance of Lord is not like, our birth. He says clearly, right? Janma karma cha me divyam. Divya means transcendental, right? So his janma and karma, that means his birth and actions is not like our birth and our actions. Correct? Very clear. And then, you can see in the society how people, claim and impose their thought that Lord Rama and Krishna were, just common humans only, right? Because they did a very Herculean task, or they did a very special, thing in the history. That's the reason we are just calling them God or Lord. But that is not the case. They were not like, they were in the form of humans, but they were not, having the body of five elements like we have. So it is very clearly given, one who knows. So the important line is Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti swajuna janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha. Vetti means to know. Tattvataha means in essence, right? In reality. So one who understands this, that Lord's, his birth and his action is all divya, all transcendental. And one who understands that, who will never take birth again. That person will never take birth again. So that has to be, memorized and understand by each one of us. Very, very important shloka. So, upon leaving the body, such a person will not take birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So these were some important shlokas, and then Lord also tells about the presence of Jnana Yoga, some like in this chapter, and like how our actions, our prescribed actions, whatever prescribed duties, right? We have a different four varnas, right? So that is also being explained in this chapter in 4.13. Chaturvarne maya srishtam gun karma vibhagshah. So Lord explains about those four varnas. What are the four varnas? Four varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And ashrams, you know, right? Brahmacharya, and then Grahastha, then Vanprastha, and then Sannyas. So Lord explains that as well in this particular chapter, transcendental knowledge. And he tells that, you know, to Arjuna that this is not material. This is I who actually, you know, set up this whole Varnashram method, Varnashram Dharma. It has been set by me only. So what it tells to us that we should follow that. And he clearly says that Janma Karma, Chatur Varne Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhaksha. So it is not that, you know, somebody is a Brahmin or somebody is a Kshatriya just by birth. It is like who is doing what? What is his, you know, attraction towards, you know, different type of modes of material nature. So that decides about the nature of a person. And that's how a person taking birth in a Brahmin family may be a Shudra, or a person taking birth in a Shudra family can be a Brahmin. So that was an important shloka. And then Lord tells about 4.17 and 4.18. Lord tells about the different ways of karma, which is akarma, you know, and vikarma and karma. So sometimes we call it sakarma as well. So sakarma, vikarma, and akarma, or karma, vikarma, rakarma. So those three things were told by Lord in 4.17 and 18, and then now finally we are moving to 4.20. Can you just repeat with me? त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराशयः त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराशयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः Once again, Prabhuji, can you read loudly? You can read in English as well, right? Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya trapto nirashayah karmanyabhi parvattopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Mataji, you would like to read? Like to read? So, now me offer my prayers to Path and Guru. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्विताश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So, can you read through translation for me? Yeah. Would like to read translation?
Abandoning all attachment to the result of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive actions, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings.
Yeah. Thanks. So now we'll see this shloka word by word once again before we proceed with the discussion. So what this says, Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayah. Tyaktva means having given up. Karma phala asangam, attachment for fruitive results. Nitya, always. Triptah, being satisfied. Nirashraya, without any shelter. Karmani, in activity. Abhipravattah, being fully engaged. Api, in spite of. Na, does not. Eva, certainly. Kinchit, anything. Karoti, do. Saha, he. So, Lord is explaining about same topic, karma, vikarma and akarma. So basically Lord is telling about akarma here, explaining about akarma. That how, if you see the translation, abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Now, the question may come that how it is possible? Somebody is, doing action, so obviously he is doing some action, right? So, how it is possible that he is not at all engaged in, that action? He is doing, but he is not engaged. He is not attached. How it is possible? Is it possible? Like, what do you think? Is there any example can be given? Any example? Okay, so let's start with the purport and let's see that what Prabhupada says here. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness. When one is doing everything for Krishna, a Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained here before. So now we'll see in the shloka, Tyaktva karma phala sanga. So when we generally, like you see in the material world, like all of us, when we do any action, what is our expectation from that action? We need some result, right? So the word Tyaktva, have given up. Now such a person who perform these actions, and in akarma. So if somebody is performing akarma, how he is performing, that is what Lord is trying to explain Arjuna here. Hmm. Yeah, yes, right, exactly, Prabhu. So Krishna is the center. Hmm. But doing it is something, doing it like that is not that easy. So we are practicing right in that direction, that keeping Krishna in center and doing all the, taking all the actions, taking all the decisions, keeping Krishna in center to satisfy Krishna. That's correct. But here, is it really that easy not to attach with the results? No. So, if you see here in the previous shloka, Lord spoke about Gyan as well, knowledge. That one who is fixed in Gyan, one who is fixed in knowledge, perform like this. Because he understands the reason of my appearance and then how I act, all is transcendental. And Janma Karam Che Me Divyam, Evam Yo Vetti Tattvataha. So one who understands this, right, will never take birth again in this material world, and will come back to me. So this way, but then what is being discussed here, Prabhupada explains not about Gyan, he is explaining about Bhakti, Bhakti Yoga here. Why? Somebody may say, no, it is mentioned here about the knowledge, Gyan Yoga, and then why Prabhupada is mentioning Bhakti Yoga? Because Bhakti is the essence, Bhakti Yoga is the essence. So even the yogis and the jnanis, they will have also, sometime, some birth, they have to come to bhakti only. Then only they will be delivered. Otherwise, they will have to come back again and again. So Prabhupada is directly giving the essence, the nectar, that what is important, what is like with what we can achieve the Lord and will to never come back again. So that is what is mentioned. And 1 minute, Prabhu. So what is important here to understand that how a devotee act in Krishna consciousness, because in the purport it is clearly mentioned that this freedom from the bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness. So who is a Krishna consciousness person? Who is, who is following? Now somebody may say that I am following a karma, but in true sense, until unless he doesn't understand about like what is the relationship with the Krishna, and who is Krishna and what is his relationship with Krishna, he cannot perform, the real Krishna consciousness. Because somebody, when he surrenders that, I am your servant, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am his servant, then only he will be able to surrender. If he thinks like, he was also like one of us, Ram was also like one of us, he will never surrender, will never be able to surrender. Is it possible? So, this is important to understand here, that this knowledge, that Lord is not like us, Lord is not having the body of 5 elements, he is Satchidananda Vigraha. So this freedom from the bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness when one is doing everything for Krishna. So how to do this everything for Krishna? That is what we discussed. How we'll do? Even what to tell about, not just like offering the karmas, offering the results of the karmas, but a devotee actually offer himself. मैं ही आपका हूँ, अपने आप को ही भगवान को अर्पित कर देता है शुद्ध भक्त. But we cannot immediately understand that. But to start with, what comes in your mind when somebody is working in Krishna consciousness, what is his thought process? Any thought? if somebody is, working in Krishna consciousness, doing actions in Krishna consciousness, so how he should work or take action? Any thoughts? Something comes in your mind? You yourself said, right, that we are attached to our results. So if we are attaching to the results, that means we are expecting something. And when we are expecting something, that expectation is in the form of two things only. Whether it's no, it's obviously material, but there are only two categories. Either it will be a distress or either it will be a happiness. Correct. So either it will be a um, um, enjoyment, pleasure, or it will be a distress, or other words like for sad, so sufferings, dissatisfaction. So in two words you can say sufferings and pleasure, sufferings and enjoyment. So सुख और दुख सब चीज़ों को इन्हीं में बांटा जा सकता है. सो इवन लाभ हानि, सुख दुख लाभ हानि, जय विजय, सो एवरीथिंग बट कम्स इनटू सुख एंड दुख ओनली. लाभ सुख है, हानि दुख है. लाभ होगा तो खुशी होगी, हानि होगी तो दुख होगा, है ना. तो जय विजय में जय मिलेगी. इफ़ यू बिकम विक्टोरियस then you feel happiness, right? Enjoyment will be there. And if you अगर हार गए, then दुख होगा, अरे मैं क्यों हार गया, है ना. So sufferings and enjoyment. So if now we have to understand that how these sufferings and enjoyment actually what they do with our consciousness. See, in the first line, this freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness. So before we understand deeply about the Krishna consciousness, we have to understand what is this bondage of actions. ये कर्मों का बंधन क्या है? ये बंधन तो कर्म का बंधन है. कर्म का बंधन क्या है? कैसे बांधते हैं कर्म? हाउ इट बाइंड्स टू अस? एनी थॉट माता जी? प्रभु जी? No, but person doesn't know about the material world, about all this knowledge, spiritual world or material world. How these karmas are binding us.
The actions we will do now, we will have some results in another past. So this will be full of this action.
Cycle of.
Yeah, I think it's
Correct.
bondage of actions.
Correct. So then, okay, that is correct. Let's say if you have done something and then you get the results, how it is binding us. अगर आपने कुछ किया आपको खुशी प्राप्त हुई, या आपने कुछ किया आपको दुख प्राप्त हुआ, अब वो आपको कैसे बांध रहा है? खुशी मिली तो आप क्या करेंगे, दुख मिला तो आप क्या करेंगे, कैसे बांधता है हमको ये? हाउ इट इज़ बिकम्स ए बॉन्डेज. आपने बोला कि यू सेड दैट राइट, इट्स अ साइकिल, वी हैव टू रीप द फ्रूट्स ऑफ those reactions. That sometime it may happen like आपने कुछ कर्म किया, आपको फल मिला, आपने उसको भोग लिया. That means you enjoyed that fruit and it is finished. So then how it is binding us? आपको आप कैसे हो रहा है वो? नहीं, enjoying again and again कैसे हो रहा है?
That cycle repeats. If you do some karma, it will again show in other state of the body.
will be, if you do good karma, you will be means taking the results, good results of this in other than what you said. So it will be continuous, the repetitive process. It is a bondage. You will be in this karma bondage.
Mhm.
If you do work in akarma without any bondage, then it will be, you will be acting as Krishna conscious.
So before, yeah, it's correct, but it's a very deep thought behind this. Just understand that every action, as we said, that it is mentioned by Prabhupada here, that gives either two different types of results, either satisfaction or dissatisfaction, right? Either the enjoyment or the uh, dissatisfaction or sufferings. So there will be two types of results, sufferings and enjoyment. Now, whenever there will be a suffering, what will happen? Suffering, and whenever there will be an enjoyment, what will happen? This all sufferings and enjoyments will leave an impression on our consciousness. So it is not just the karmas which actually, the reactions binds us, but the results of these, actions which are, coming in the form of the enjoyment and sufferings, each and every suffering and enjoyment in this material world binds us. How it binds us? Because it leaves an impression on our consciousness. And when it leaves the impression on our consciousness, हमारी चेतना पर जब ये एक छाप छोड़ते हैं, एक residual, अपना एक अवशेष छोड़ते हैं, then those residual, impressions will again creates a hankerness for us for the same thing. Let's say you did something very nice, you did a good work, then you got a satisfaction, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. अब फिर से मन में एक धारणा बनेगी, अगेन यू वांट टू डू सेम थिंग, कि मैं फिर से ऐसा करूं, मुझे और अच्छा लगेगा. जब दुख मिलता है तो सोचता है व्यक्ति कि मैं इसको नहीं करूंगा, है ना, इसको मैं नहीं करूंगा, इसमें मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. लेकिन क्या उत्पन्न होता है वहाँ, कैसे बांधता है? वहाँ पर जो हमारी इच्छा नहीं होती तो क्या होता है? तो हमको क्रोध उत्पन्न होता है, क्रोध के रूप में बांधता है. इट गिव्स डिस्ट्रेस, इट गिव्स एंग्विश, इट गिव्स एंग्जाइटी. मेरे मन का क्यों नहीं हुआ, जैसे मैं चाहता था वैसा क्यों नहीं हुआ, मुझे वैसा रिजल्ट क्यों नहीं मिला, मुझे दुख क्यों मिला, मुझे ही क्यों मिला दुख. सो इट बाइंड्स अस इन टू वेज. किसी कामना के, क्योंकि वेन एवर वी डू सम एक्शन, वेन एवर वी टेक एन एक्शन, इट कम्स थ्रू डिज़ायर्स ओनली, राइट? When the desires comes first into our mind and then we take action, and then result comes, whether results अच्छा आएगा, बुरा आएगा, खुशी मिलेगी या गम मिलेगा, that's all. We think that we are the doer. भूल जाते हैं हम कि there is supreme personality of Godhead and he is sitting in our heart in the form of परमात्मा. तो सुख और दुख ये हमारी मनस्थिति के ऊपर है. It's all our mental state, that how we are getting affected by that. But that is a very higher stage. Even prior to that, we have to understand that how these reactions, how these actions, how these desires are binding us. Like the example, whenever you do something and if you get the right good result, it binds you in the form of moha, attachment. And whenever you do something which is not giving you the right result or expected result, then you feel distress and you become anguished, anger. So मोह और लोभ, है ना, लालच एक तरफ बांधता है और दूसरी तरफ एंग्जाइटी, क्रोध, एंगर, ये हमको बांधता है. तो ये हमको बार बार वही कर्म करने के लिए या दूसरे कर्म को करने के लिए बाधित करता है. If you are not getting the expected result, then again you will do something, and in the form of a good action where you did something good and you found you got the expected result, then again you do it to get the same result. So this is how this binds us, and it is very, very beautifully given by Prabhupada here in one line, that this freedom from the bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness. Why in Krishna consciousness? Because when one is doing everything for Krishna, then those same actions which we were doing earlier for our own sense gratification, now we are doing it for Krishna, and when we are doing it for Krishna, those actions will not bind us. बल्कि वो क्या करेंगे? कृष्ण के लिए किए हुए कर्म हमको बंधन मुक्त करेंगे. इट विल, जो बंधन अब तक है, जो अब तक हमारे हृदय में इतनी ग्रंथियाँ उलझी हुई हैं, इतने कर्मों के जो इम्प्रेशंस हैं, दोज इम्प्रेशंस आर लाइंग देयर सिंस टाइम इमेमोरियल. हम लोग कभी कहते हैं ना कि हमारे साथ ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, या मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है. हमने देखा नहीं है, बट भगवान तो सब जानते हैं. हमने जो किया है उसका ही कर्म हमको, उसी कर्म का फल हमको प्राप्त हो रहा है. वी आर गेटिंग व्हाट वी हैव सोन, व्हाट वी हैव सोड, दैट इज़ व्हाट वी आर रीपिंग. So, is it clear now that how this first line Prabhupada gives here, freedom from the bondage of action. So this bondage of action is clear, how it binds us, and then how, now we'll understand that how to act in Krishna consciousness. So, a Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. So यहाँ पे just try to understand, when we love someone, when there's a real love, so do we really expect something from that person? We want to serve them without unconditionally, right? So unconditional love, that is a real love. That what we behaves with our family members, and what we give and take in our material world, that is all. That is not true love, right? So even if people are not up to that, able to understand that what is true love nowadays. So here Prabhupada says that he understands, a Krishna conscious person understands that what is, the pure love, and where this pure love, he has to serve Lord by this pure love. So this pure love is only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. जैसे भगवान उसे चाहेंगे, जैसे भगवान की इच्छा है, मैं वैसे करूँगा. So he is not attached. So we'll again go back to the important word here. कर्म फला असंग, त्यक्त्वा कर्म फला संगम. कर्म के फलों को संग नहीं करता, आसक्त नहीं होता है, कर्म के फलों में आसक्त नहीं होता है. अटैचमेंट फॉर फ्यूटिव रिजल्ट्स, देयर इज नो अटैचमेंट फॉर फ्यूटिव रिजल्ट्स इन ए पर्सन हु इज अ डिवोटी. Whereas in a material person there is an attachment towards the result. That's what we discussed, right? So this is very important to understand now, how that attachment is not there in a devotee. How that attachment is not there. So as we discussed, like these you can just understand by the example of unattachments, few attachment examples, like a soldier fighting on border and he kills. He can kill till the time he has bullet. He can kill with each bullet. He can kill an enemy, right? The target which is given to the army is एक गोली एक दुश्मन. एक गोली से एक दुश्मन का शिकार होना ही चाहिए, ये टारगेट दिया जाता है. तो वहाँ पे when he kills to so many people, he doesn't get any kind of punishment for that, right? Whether if a civilian kills, in the society somebody, he will get punishment. Or to understand it better, the same soldier who was fighting and killing the people on the border, when he comes here in his village and he kills someone out of his own enmity, he will get, say, punishment, right? So you can see the attachment here. See, in the first action when he was fighting on border, was he attached? Was he attached with the result? Correct? But here, there is no attachment at border. But here when he comes to the society, in his village or he kills someone, there is an attachment. Because what is that difference? Can somebody tell? What is that attachment? बॉर्डर पे जब वो लड़ रहा है तो अपने लिए नहीं लड़ रहा है, देश के लिए लड़ रहा है। जब वो घर पे आया है तो अपनी शत्रुता का अनुभव करके, मेरा एनिमी है, इसने मेरे साथ गलत किया था, आज मैं इसको सर्विस रिवॉल्वर से ही उड़ा देता हूँ। सो दैट वे what comes here? What is the difference between the both actions? The state of consciousness. In the first state, consciousness is not at all attached with the action because he is not doing it for own sense gratification. He is doing it for the country. He is doing it as a duty. He has been ordered to do that. Kill as many as possible. But when the same soldier comes to the city or his village and he kills someone because that person is having some enmity with him or due to any reason, then he is killing that person for his own sense gratification, right? So he is attached with the action. So that's the reason. There is another example where you can understand it for a devotee. We go and eat outside. Those who are non-devotees, they eat from different places, So they also get. भगवान भगवद गीता में बोलते हैं कि जो मुझे अर्पित किए हुए बिना भोजन ग्रहण करते हैं वो पाप ही खाते हैं। दे ईट सिन ओनली। सो भगवान को अर्पित किया हुआ भोजन क्या बन जाता है? प्रसाद। तो जो लोग प्रसाद नहीं खाते, वो अन्न नहीं खाते, वो पाप खाते हैं, है ना? भगवान कह रहे हैं सर, मैं नहीं कह रहा, प्रभुपाद भी नहीं कह रहे। तो इसलिए, लेकिन एक डिवोटी जब प्रसाद खाता है वो भी टेस्टी है, वो भी उतना ही सम्चुअस है। दैट आउटसाइड फूड इज ऑल्सो मे बी वेरी सम्चुअस, बट द प्रसादम विल, by eating prasadam he will get cleansing in his heart, whereas when he will eat prasad in outside he will get bind, he will get again and again, because the person who is preparing that food outside, we don't know about him, what kind of a person he is. His consciousness is there while preparing, जिसको जो भी बना रहा है वो, while preparing food, he is just thinking about what all nonsense, we don't know. He might be, he is preparing to kill someone. आज इसी छुरे से मैं, जिससे मैं आज ये कटलेट बना रहा हूँ, इसी छुरे से जाके मैं काट दूंगा आज रात को उसको. We don't know, right? ये जाके, we don't know about anybody's consciousness, right? So that consciousness plays a very, very, very subtle and important role in making all these, decisions, actions. So we should avoid eating outside. We should be very cautious about like where we are going, from who is, like where we are eating, and whether that has been offered to Lord or not. तो प्रसादम आप देख सकते हैं कि जब प्रसादम कोई खाता है तो वो बंधनों से मुक्त होता है, जबकि कोई प्रसाद नहीं खाता है तो और बंधन में फंसता जाता है, पता नहीं चलता. There are many things which we cannot see from our eyes, we cannot understand, we cannot conceive, right, all these things, but they exist. These are mentioned in the scriptures. Lord himself is saying. So there are examples, like another example given by Srila Prabhupada in other lectures about a teller sitting in a bank. So bank, if you go to bank to take out money, you go to the teller, you fill a form or give a token, and then he gives you money. That is your money, but he is counting it from since morning till evening when his duty ends, right? He is counting so much of notes, so much of currency. None of the currency belongs to him. He's doing his work, he's taking the action, but he's not attached with that currency. उसमें से एक भी नोट वो घर ले जा सकता है क्या? नहीं ले जा सकता है, क्योंकि उसको नहीं है वो, दोज करेंसी नोट्स आर नॉट, ही इज नॉट द ओनर, ही नोज हु इज द ओनर ऑफ दोज, राइट. So he is doing action, but he is not attached with that. There is another example of attachment, unattachment. So this is example of, these are few examples of unattachment of to action. And another point is nitya trapto. Another word is nitya trapto. Nitya trapto means, nitya means always, trapta means being satisfied. Such a person who performs akarma, such a person who is a devotee, when a devotee performs the action, how he is, being unaffected by the attraction of the results or unattached with the actions. उसको कोई इसमें अटैचमेंट नहीं होता है एक डिवोटी को. क्यों? क्योंकि कृष्ण को केंद्र में रखता है और सब कार्य भगवान के लिए करता है. जब वो सब कार्य भगवान के लिए करता है तो उसकी मनस्थिति कैसी हो जाती है? वो नित्य तृप्त हो जाता है. दैट मीन्स, तृप्त मीन्स सेटिस्फाइड, एंड सच ए पर्सन इज ऑलवेज सेटिस्फाइड. उसको बाहर सेटिस्फैक्शन ढूंढने की आवश्यकता नहीं है ना. वी ट्राई टू सेटिस्फाई अवर सेंसेस हेयर एंड देयर, राइट. वी चलो आज थोड़ा जाके बाहर पार्टी करते हैं, तो मूवी देख के आते हैं, जी करते हैं. मूवी देख के आने की तो छोड़ो, अगर आपको कोई बता भी दे, इफ़ समबडी कम्स एंड एक्सप्लेन्स, अरे तूने वो मूवी देखा है, कितना बढ़िया है, अभी कौन सा मूवी आया है वो नया वाला, देखा है तूने, अरे व्हाट ए मूवी, एक बार ये भी बोल देगा तो आपके माइंड में आ जाएगा चलो देखना चाहिए, है ना. इमीडिएटली अवर माइंड गिव्स, राइट, वाई कांट वी गो एंड सी, राइट, हमको भी देखना चाहिए. अभी एक जो मूवी आया, कौन सा, भगवान राम के ऊपर बनाया है, आदि पुरुष, करेक्ट. Somebody shared it in WhatsApp. By just seeing the first line of that, the narrator, I was thinking like, what is going on in the society? First line says that Lord Rama was a human being, and because of his work, because of his actions, he became God. हम क्या कर रहे हैं? अपने ही पैरों पे कुल्हाड़ी मार रहे हैं हम लोग. हम तो पैर अपना कुल्हाड़ी पे रख रहे हैं. दैट इज़ व्हाट द साइंस गोइंग इन द सोसाइटी. इतनी नॉलेज ऐसी हो चुकी है, ये ज्ञान का स्तर है कि हम अपने ही भगवानों को ये नहीं समझ रहे कि भगवान भगवान है, और उनको एक मानव बता रहे हैं, साधारण मानव बता रहे हैं. एक साधारण मानव द्वारा असाधारण कार्य किए गए, इसलिए वो भगवान है, ये डेफिनेशन दी जाती है. अभी कोई कर सकता है असाधारण कार्य? कोई साधारण कार्य है? ये जो भगवान ने असाधारण कार्य किए, इज़ इट पॉसिबल बाय एनीवन टू बिल्ड अ ब्रिज ओवर सी? वो भी पत्थरों से तैरता हुआ. सो दिस इज ऑल लाइक, एनीवे. सो सच ए पर्सन बिकम्स नित्य तृप्त. नित्य तृप्त मीन्स बीइंग सेटिस्फाइड, ऑलवेज सेटिस्फाइड. एंड निराश्रयः. निराश्रयः मीन्स जिसको कोई आश्रय नहीं है, जिसको कोई आश्रय नहीं है, विदाउट एनी शेल्टर. देन व्हाई इट इज मेंशन्ड हियर? भक्त को तो आश्रय है, बिकॉज हियर इट इज एक्सप्लेन्ड दैट त्यक्त्वा कर्म फला संगम नित्य तप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्य भी प्रवृत्तोपि नैव किंचित करोति सः. So why the word nirashraya? So nirashraya means without any shelter. Still this is being mentioned here. Why? Because it is for, in devotee perspective, a person is not taking shelter from anyone else but from Krishna. So whenever he needs a shelter, he is having shelter only of Krishna. सिर्फ भगवान के लिए भगवान पे आश्रित होता है. शुद्ध भक्त भगवान पे ही आश्रित होता है, वो किसी और का आश्रय नहीं ढूंढता है. ही डजंट लुक फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ शेल्टर फ्रॉम हियर एंड देयर. किसी देवी देवता के पास नहीं आता है, सिर्फ भगवान को जानता है, क्योंकि वो परम भगवान है, तो इसलिए मेरी रक्षा वही करेंगे. गलत होगा, सही होगा, जो भी होगा भगवान देखेंगे, है ना. भगवान की ही इच्छा के अनुसार होगा. वॉट एवर विल बी द रिजल्ट, इट विल बी अकॉर्डिंग टू लॉर्ड्स डिज़ायर. So that is why it is mentioned nirashaya. So he is not anxious about that गलत हो जाएगा, अब ऐसा करूँगा तो वैसा हो जाएगा, तो ऐसा होगा तो वैसा हो जाएगा, तो मेरे को उनसे बना के रखनी चाहिए. I should be having good terms with the powerful people because they will help me. A devotee is not like that. Material person will think like that. This person is very powerful, so I should be in a good relationship with him. But a devotee never, goes to anyone. Devotee knows that whatever has to happen by the mercy of Lord, by the, will of Lord. So I am just, serving him. I am his servant with serving attitude, with love. If someone, devotes all his actions, and even devotees who devotes himself, तन मन धन से भगवान को अर्पित करते हैं स्वयं को, तो फिर भगवान उनका पूरा भार उठाते हैं. भगवान उनको पूरा उनकी सब चीज़ों की देख खुद भगवान करते हैं. So abandoning all attachments to the results of his activities, ever satisfied, that means nityatrapta and independent, nirashaya. He performs no fruitive action. So that is why when he reached to such a state where he is not attached to the results, to the actions and to the results of those actions, then he is doing akarma. तो कर्म करते हुए भी ऐसा व्यक्ति अकर्म करता है. बाह्य दृष्टि से ऐसा प्रतीत होता है कि ये व्यक्ति भी जैसे मैं कर रहा हूँ वैसे ही तो ये भी कर रहा है. तो ये फिर डिफरेंस क्या है? डिवोटी भी वैसे ही कर रहा है और एक नॉन डिवोटी भी वही कर्म कर रहा है ना. डिवोटी भी भोजन प्राप्त कर रहा है और एक नॉन डिवोटी भी भोजन प्राप्त कर रहा है, पर दोनों में क्या डिफरेंस है अभी हमने डिस्कस किया, राइट. डिवोटी प्रसाद ग्रहण कर रहा है, भगवान को प्रेम पूर्वक बनाकर जो भोजन अर्पित किया गया उनका उच्छिष्ट प्राप्त कर रहा है जो हमको बांधेगा नहीं. पर एक नॉन डिवोटी जो बिना भगवान को अर्पित किया हुआ भोजन ले रहा है वो उसको बांध रहा है, कर्म के बंधनों में बांध रहा है. एंड इट इज़ नॉट ओनली जस्ट अबाउट वन sensory organ, right? No, it is not just tongue. Like all the different senses, we are hankering to get these senses satisfied. That is what the state of bondage. बद्ध अवस्था यह है कि हम अपने समस्त इंद्रियों से स्वयं को प्रसन्न रखना चाहते हैं, स्वयं को प्रसन्न करना चाहते हैं, भगवान को प्रसन्न करना नहीं चाहते, भगवान को सेटिस्फाई करना नहीं चाहते. भगवान के बारे में लोग जानते ही नहीं हैं. That is what the problem. So it is our duty to tell all that about the Krishna consciousness. We should follow it nicely. So now we'll end the topic and then we'll take few questions if it is there. So he's just do for few lines in purport. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme. Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance. तो उसको ये भी चिंता नहीं रहती है कि मुझे कौन भोजन देगा, कौन मुझे वस्त्र देगा, कौन मेरा ध्यान रखेगा, है ना. क्यों? It's not easy to understand because those are very high level of devotees, very elevated devotees, जो ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्न आत्मा न शोचती न कांक्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद भक्ति लभते पराम. 18.54-53 में भगवान कहते हैं, अर्जुन को बताते हैं कि वो अवस्था ऐसी है कि उसमें व्यक्ति को अपने शरीर का भी भान नहीं रहता है. ही डजंट नो इवन अबाउट अपने शरीर के बारे में भी. मैं बस भगवान की सेवा ही उसके लिए सर्वोपरि है, भगवान ही सर्वोपरि है, भगवान से प्रेम और भगवान की सेवा. भक्ति इज़ नथिंग बट लव टुवर्ड्स सुप्रीम पर्सनैलिटी ऑफ गॉडहेड. भक्ति क्या है? भगवान के प्रति जो प्रेम है वही भक्ति है. तो यहाँ पर बताते हैं प्रभुपाद दैट नॉर इज ही एंशियस टू सिक्योर थिंग्स नॉर टू प्रोटेक्ट थिंग्स ऑलरेडी इन हिज पोजेशन. तो मेरे बाद क्या होगा, मेरे घर का क्या होगा, मेरी गाड़ी का क्या होगा, अपने मित्रों का, अपने संबंधियों का, उनका क्या होगा, ये सब बातें वो नहीं सोचता है बिकॉज ही इज़ फुली सरेंडर टू लॉर्ड. अभी भगवान को पूरी तरह से समर्पित हूँ, भगवान जैसे चाहेंगे मैं वैसा करूँगा, वैसा मेरे साथ होगा. Why that understanding is there? Because he does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Why? Such an attached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. So that is how वो कर्म करते हुए भी अकर्म, कर्म करते हुए भी कर्म नहीं करता. That is why it is called अकर्म. कर्म करते हुए भी कर्म नहीं करता, इसीलिए उसको अकर्म कहा गया है. क्योंकि उस अकर्म के द्वारा, इस पद्धति के द्वारा जब कोई कर्म करता है, भगवान के लिए कर्म करता है, तो वो उसको बांधता नहीं है. इट विल नॉट बाइंड. दिस इज द साइन. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of vikarma as explained here in before. So it is mentioned here कि सब कुछ बांधने वाला ही है. Everything will bind except अकर्मा. विकर्म तो बांधते ही हैं. What is vikarma? Just like wanted to discuss about what is vikarma. Vikarma is actions which are not as per the prescribed duties, which are not as per the prescribed, as prescribed in the scriptures, which are not as per Shastra. Those are vikarma. But यहाँ Prabhupada very he's emphasizing on this word that any other action therefore devoid of Krishna consciousness, that means कृष्ण भावनामृत में किए हुए कर्म के अलावा और कोई भी कर्म सब कुछ बांधने वाला ही है. अकर्म को छोड़कर, चाहे आप शास्त्रों के अनुसार कर्म करें या शास्त्रों के विपरीत कर्म करें, दोनों बांधेंगे. शास्त्र के विपरीत कर्म तो बांधेंगे ही, बट शास्त्र सम्मत कर्म भी बांधेंगे. बिकॉज देयर इज अ विल टू reap the fruits, because there is a will to enjoy the fruits. So it is very important to understand here that we are not the enjoyers. Only Lord is the enjoyer. Lord owns everything. So He is the enjoyer. He is the master. We are not the master. Nothing is in our hand. We cannot change any reaction of any action. Can we? हम चाहते हैं ऐसा हो, पर क्या होता है? हम चाहते हैं, हम कोई भी कार्य करते हैं कि अपनी इच्छा से कि हमें ऐसा फल प्राप्त होगा, तो जैसा हम चाहते हैं ऐसा हमेशा प्राप्त होता है? नहीं होता है ना. सचिन तेंदुलकर सारे लोग बन सकते हैं क्या? सचिन तेंदुलकर जैसा उसने किया, जो उसने हासिल किया, जो वॉट एवर ही हैज़ अचीव्ड राइट इन हिज लाइफ, तो बाकी क्रिकेटर भी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, पर क्या वो उसके ऐसे बन पाए हैं? That is what shows right clearly that our action and the destiny goes hand in hand. एक्शन करना है, कर्म करना है, पर रिजल्ट आपको आपके कर्मानुसार प्राप्त होगा. पर वो कर्म अच्छे हों या बुरे, उनको भोगने के लिए आपको वापस आना ही पड़ेगा. तो ऐसे कर्म क्यों ना किए जाएं जो हम बंधन में ना बंधें. दैट इज़ व्हाट लॉर्ड इज टेलिंग टू Arjuna here, and that is what Prabhupada explained with the nice examples here. So just any questions or any realization, any thought after understanding this? I hope it makes clear to you now that what is akarma and how even while doing action, how can we avoid getting entangled into the reactions or of those actions. Any question or any thought?
Now we are doing karma.
Yeah.
We can't do as per that historical scripture, like previously what they said, like Brahman, like that. We can't
Prescribed duties.
prescribe this. Now we can't do that. So if you are doing some karma or duty dharma, so we can't define the rules exactly what we are doing now. So if you do something wrong unexpectedly, so that we can't necessarily do as a karma. everything will be Krishna conscious, we cannot say. So we have to obviously go to that, we have to bear that results in next Janma, what you said. So we say like four yogas are there. Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, and something.
Jnana, Karma, Dhyan and Bhakti.
So I think by performing those yogas, it will be like we will reach that Krishna consciousness.
So this is a question, or you want, like you are telling your understanding?
No, this is a question. Like obviously we will bear the results of that. If you do some wrong things unexpectedly, you are performing these our duties. So we have to do these yogas to reach Krishna, or it will be automatically, what you say, we have to take that results of these bad things which we have done.
So for that you have to understand first of all about these four different yoga systems. So those yoga systems are, having a different results as well. For that you have to understand there is all yogas takes us towards absolute truth. And that's the reason it comes yoga. That means to add. That means it takes us closer to the absolute truth, whether it's karma, jnana, dhyan or bhakti. But there are different aspects of the absolute truth. So a karmi reach to a particular aspect of the absolute truth. Jnani and dhyan, jnana yoga and dhyan yoga, they also reach to a different aspect of the absolute truth. You might be aware about Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. But the topmost realization, which is Bhagavan, of absolute truth, that can be attained only by a devotee, by a bhakta. So, and even prior to that, this understanding what we discussed today, this has to be very clear in mind of a jnani, yogi or a karmi. Because even if a yogi is performing or a jnani is performing any action for his own satisfaction, he will get bind. So this is not, there is no necessity, there is no guarantee that if somebody is a yogi, he will get, he will not get bind with the karma. It is no guarantee. That is why Prabhupada is emphasizing on Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga, your question is very nice, that while doing all the, nowadays we don't know what is prescribed duty, what is, for that we have to read scriptures. And we cannot be, we cannot say that, that I am a Kshatriya, so everybody, is doing that only. Actually, nowadays, all of us are Shudras only. Because we are serving, we all are servants. We are serving, the companies, we are serving, other, different business, we are serving customers. So all are Shudras only. So most of them. So in this way, it is not necessary that a yogi or a jnani will get rid of this cycle of birth and death. Gradually they will definitely go. This like Nishkam Karma Yogi will definitely move towards Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yogi will move gradually towards the Dhyan Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. And Ashtanga Yogi will gradually move towards Bhakti. That is what the path is being explained by Lord in Bhagavad Gita. So finally they have to come to Bhakti. So then why not to directly start Bhakti? Why to go to that path? भक्ति करो, भक्ति करने से सबसे अच्छा फ़ायदा क्या है कि एक ज्ञानी को कर्म में अरुचि हो सकती है. बिकॉज ही विल थिंक आई एम ए ज्ञानी, आई नो एवरीथिंग. ego will be satisfied, when the more ego will satisfied, he will get bind with that. जितना ज़्यादा अहंकार बढ़ता जाएगा उतना ज़्यादा वो बद्ध अवस्था में जाता है. योगी भी सिद्धियों के आकर्षण में फंस सकता है. When a yogi, ध्यान योगी or ashtanga yogi, when he reaches to a state where he started getting attraction towards the siddhis, so the siddhis attracts the yogi, and then he gets totally diverted from his goal. First of all, he should know goal. If he knows goal, then also there is a risk that he may get attracted towards the siddhis, and siddhis will take away. There are so many examples, like you, Vishwamitra, and then Shaubhuri Muni. So there are many examples. So we have to understand, in Kali Yuga, the Nama Sankirtana, this is the prescribed method. Even those prior three yoga system is not at all effective. What is meant for Kali Yuga is bhakti only. That is the reason it is in every scripture it is mentioned that chant the holy name of the Lord. Harer Naam, Harer Naam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti, Vinasti, Vinasti, Gatirannatha. So very nice question asked by you, that while performing all of our day-to-day activities, we cannot be sure that we are doing it correctly or not. We don't know whether which where what is right, what is wrong. So for that you read scriptures and chant nicely, and gradually that state will come that we will we'll be able to keep Krishna in center, and whatever we'll do, those actions will be for Krishna only, and that will be a karma. So we are all in the process. Everybody in Krishna consciousness, those who are now part of the devotee congregation, everybody is actually practicing that only, and that practice will goes on. It all depends on mercy of Lord when we will get the maturity. Any other question, Prabhuji? कुछ और प्रश्न है किसी का? Thank you so much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.